Meteorologist Nathan Hopper, Valley News Live First Alert Storm Team. This is Valley News Live at 4.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Stacy Van Dyke, and people across the valley are picking up the pieces today after a wild night of storms. Take a look at this. It's called a gust-nado, caught on camera about half a mile south of Wild Rice. Joseph Ochoa says the rotating storm snapped off about 20 power poles on Highway 81. Our storm team says a gust-nado is a brief spin-up like a tornado that forms along the edge of a line of very strong straight-line winds near a storm's gust front. One man is dead and a woman is hurt after a tree fell on their camper. That happened last night near Alexandria during the bout of significant storms. A woman was taken to the hospital. Her condition is unknown. A man was pronounced dead at the scene. A baseball team got caught as that storm blew into West Fargo last night. A viewer sent us this video of people fighting the high winds to get off the field. It's a good reminder to get off the field as soon as the warning is issued, especially if you see approaching storm clouds, and be sure you have a way to be alerted, like by downloading our VNL weather app. Things a bit quieter this evening. Chief Meteorologist Hutch Johnson joins us now with a first look. Hutch?
Stacy, thank you, and thanks so much for joining us on Valley News Live this evening. Much quieter. We do have a few clouds showing up on our home of economy location, Devil's Lake. There winds also been gusty today, but we have lost the heat and the oppressive humidity of the weekend here in the valley. A few photos that have been sent in. This is a Dalton area. A lot of winds packed with these storms. It was so hot, so humid. They built to high heights, and when the rain and hail came out of them, they came with a lot of gusty winds. Speaking of winds, 91 miles per hour, Mallory, Verndale, 83 miles per hour with Sabin measuring 86 miles per hour. A number of locations over 65 miles per hour. Look at Moorhead, 64 miles per hour. How much rain? Well, a lot of us saw over an inch of rain. Bagley, Moorhead in the northern part of town, now 1.3 inches, 1.44 Solway, and 1.7 inches in the Sebeka area. Here's radar estimates of the last 2 days, because we had some storms overnight into the morning yesterday that brought some rain to the Carrington area. 2.2 inches there estimated by radar. Fargo picking up around a half of an inch on the south side of town, a little bit more west and north with the track of the storms working their way through Lakes Country. Anywhere you saw the yellows, upwards of 2 inches of rain. Hit and miss showers, a rumble of thunder here and there making its way through Kittson County, swirling around an area of low pressure to the north. That's a cool pool working its way down, 60s there and 70s here with some wind. We do have gusts over the 40-mile-per-hour mark in many locations, particularly down to the south. We'll keep you updated on your forecast. It does look quieter for another day or two, but that heat returns, as do our thunderstorm chances, and we'll have more on that in a moment.
All right, thanks so much, Hutch. Several families who live about 5 miles south of Horace braced for impact as the storms approached around dinner time yesterday. They took cover in their basements and said it was so dark outside they couldn't see across the street. They emerged about 45 minutes later and discovered the mess the storm left behind. One garage lost its door and a side wall, exposing a parked car inside. 3 homes have extensive roof damage. Several windows were also broken. The St. Benedict Church of Wild Rice's chimney collapsed on itself, and many trees were uprooted. Some serious damage took place in Ottertail last night. The entire roof was blown off of Carr's Tree Service. Today they're cleaning up at their business, but also responding to trees down all across the area. They say it'll take up to 3 weeks to get emergency cleanup done where trees have fallen on houses or are blocking roads and driveways. They tell us it'll take them the rest of the summer, possibly into fall, to clean up damage from just this storm. Across the street at the Otter Lodge, everyone was evacuated last night as a safety precaution. The Ottertail County Sheriff's Office got everyone set up with another place to stay. Otter Lodge staff tell us they hope to be back open by the end of the week. Happening right now, Fargo school board members continue to discuss the fate of the high school teacher accused of inappropriate behavior with students. Kevin Kennedy has been suspended without pay since April. The school district received a complaint in March claiming Kennedy had crossed boundaries with students and created an uncomfortable learning environment. The board has been in executive session for several hours. A school spokesperson tells Valley News Live just moments ago the plan is to have a determination today. We'll let you know that decision as soon as it's made. You can read more on the investigation on your VNL News app. Grand Forks police have identified a suspect after shots were fired in city limits on Sunday. Kyle Jeans was arrested and charged with 4 counts of reckless endangerment, which is a Class C felony. Officers responded to the 1900 block of South 12th Street late Sunday afternoon, finding several shell casings on the ground. They say this stems from a domestic incident, but no one was hurt. The Texas public safety chief testified this week at a state Senate hearing condemning the police response during the Uvalde school shooting as an abject failure. Officials say law enforcement had enough officers at the scene to stop the gunman 3 minutes after he entered that building. But police officers with rifles stood and waited in a school hallway for nearly an hour while the gunman carried out the attack that left 19 children and 2 teachers dead. The public safety chief says he believes the Uvalde School District police chief decided to put the lives of officers ahead of the lives of children. The House committee investigating the January 6th Capitol attack asked viewers not to be distracted by politics as it convened its 4th hearing this month. The panel heard powerful testimony from state and local officials detailing efforts by former President Donald Trump and his allies to overturn the election. As Skylar Henry reports, the same officials also detailed threats they faced from Trump supporters.
Tuesday, the House January 6th committee argued former President Donald Trump and top aides pushed officials in key states to overturn the election in his favor, despite warnings it could lead to violence.
The president's supporters heard the former president's claims of fraud and the false allegations he made against state and local officials as a call to action.
One gentleman that had the 3 bars on his chest, and he had a pistol.
Arizona State House Speaker Rusty Bowers faced threats after he resisted pressure from Mr. Trump and his attorney at the time, Rudy Giuliani, to replace Arizona's electors. Bowers recalled this exchange with Giuliani.
He said, "We've got lots of theories, we just don't have the evidence."
Also testifying were Georgia's top election officials Gabriel Sterling and Brad Raffensperger, who received that now infamous phone call where the former president asked for additional votes to win the state.
We just followed along with
worker said she and her family were physically accosted and faced death threats after Mr. Trump and Giuliani made false accusations about a scheme involving a ballot.
Wishing death upon me, saying things like, "Be glad it's 2020 and not 1920.
During Tuesday's hearing, the committee also publicly ramped up scrutiny on the actions of some of their Republican colleagues.
What did Mr. Biggs ask you to do?
He asked if I would sign on both to a letter that had been sent from my state and or that I would support the decertification of the electors, and I said I would not.
British filmmaker Alex Holder now says he has complied with the committee subpoena to overturn exclusive footage and interviews with the former president and his inner circle in the days before and after January 6th. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
The committee is expected to depose that filmmaker, Alex Holder, on Thursday. The same day, it plans to hold another public hearing, this time to lay out former President Trump's efforts to pressure Justice Department officials. Senators in South Dakota are listening to evidence today for the impeachment of their Attorney General. In 2020, Attorney General Jason Ravensburg gave an account of a deadly traffic accident, but some lawmakers and family members of the victim question his truthfulness.
This has to be something that the prosecution proves by clear, satisfactory, and convincing evidence.
Ravensburg now faces 2 charges in the state's first ever impeachment trial, with conviction on either one triggering immediate removal from office, committing a crime that caused death and malfeasance. Senators may also vote on whether Ravensburg should be barred from holding future office. The Republican only recently announced he would not seek a second term. Children 6 months old to 5 years old are now eligible to receive their first COVID-19 vaccines. Some parents were quick to line up to get the shots, but as Natalie Brand shows us, others are more reluctant.
There were a few tears from nervous toddlers, but parents could not be happier.
It's been a long time coming. I mean, we've been as careful as we could be within reason for a long, long time. And yeah, maybe excited to do some stuff inside now.
Cyrus Carras brought his 2-year-old daughter Amira for her long-awaited coronavirus vaccination. Did it hurt or not really?
Did it hurt?
Not really.
Not really, yeah.
President Biden visited one of several D.C. clinics open Tuesday afternoon.
Relief, isn't it, to be able to do it? Oh my God.
Doctors say vaccinating children is not only about protection, but also preventing potential long-term consequences.
For children in particular, while thankfully most have mild disease if they become infected with COVID-19, there are still a lot of unknowns. We don't know what happens to children when they're infected so young, what can happen to them as they get older.
Doctors are urging parents to get their youngsters vaccinated as soon as possible. A CDC survey released last week shows more than half definitely or probably will get their children vaccinated, with just under a third saying they definitely or probably will not. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington.
Federal officials say most jurisdictions, except for Florida, pre-ordered some of the 10 million doses available for the youngest children. You can go to vaccines.gov to find out where you can get a shot for your child if you're interested. Valley News Live is taking you out to the ball game tonight. The Carson Wentz AO1 Foundation is hosting its 3rd annual charity softball game at Newman Outdoor Field, and you can watch it right here on Valley News Live. Carson Wentz and other former NDSU football players will be competing in a home run derby and 9-inning game. Valley News team sports director Devin Fry is there now. He'll be calling the game and interviewing players all throughout the night. You can watch it all right here on KX4 starting at 7 p.m. Later here at 4, if gas prices are putting a damper on your summer travel plans, relief might be on the way.
Numerous areas of reported damage, including Lakes Country, this at Otter Tail Lake on the south side. Aaron, thanks for sharing your photos. A lot of cleanup going on. This was a huge AC unit on the roof of a building not far from Horace making its way down, and the sheds had a rough go of it as well. Your hour-by-hour forecast looks a little quieter tonight. I'll have details on that, heat, and some more storms next.